Hey, welcome, Renny Doyle podcast. Today, we've got some really special people, and
Where?
They're all looking around for him.
where? Good friends. We go back 20 years. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
20 years. Where I listened to a song. I was sitting out. We had an interesting week. We had an interesting 2.5 weeks, but Saturday night, I was sitting out on my back patio with the bonfire going, and I listened to the words, and it says, "Be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you want. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, and months turn into decades." Skip the years. It skipped the years, and boy, if that ain't true sometimes, right? So, hey, Chris, you got to introduce these guys. Then I'm going to do a little introduction to these guys, and then they're going to do a little introduction to these guys. But we're going to mix it up a little bit because these guys, well, you see these guys right here, they know biz and they know life and they know the industry in industries. We're going to get into that a little bit, and we're just going to have some fun. So, Maestro, you're up.
Yeah. Well, in case all of you that are with us this morning have also been living under a rock this week, because last week we had Megan on, and if anybody didn't know her, they were living under a rock. But we've got sitting here in front of us. Let's see if I can do this right and just make sure everybody's video is the same. On the left, we got sitting behind the big black mic there is Rod Puzey, and then arms in the air. And then on the right is Jody Sedrick. And these two own and run Zenware, and they make a product called RoadFS, which is, software for us detailers and other people in industry like ours. So, but one of the cool things about these guys is they are huge, massive supporters of the detailing industry. That's why I'd say you'd have to be living under a rock not to know them, because they're literally at every event, involved in every aspect of it, which is totally cool, including longtime sponsors of our Air Force One detailing project. Many years. They've even spent like the entire week with us out there, just working alongside us on the airplanes and everything else. So these guys are awesome. They give back to the industry every chance they get, and we like having them here.
I'll add energetic, passionate, bright, smart, wise. These guys are really got it. They've really pioneered.
Smart and wise. I've never heard that.
That's me.
That does not happen.
It's all me.
It's definitely not you.
They really pioneered. You go back when Rod and I first met. I mean, they were pioneering. Software is nothing new to Idaho, right? And believe it or not, there's been a big tech side of Idaho where these guys or in Boise, Idaho. And that's where we met, was up when I was living in Idaho. And it hurts me to hear things are going on there, because really that's where my heart, belongs, is in Idaho. But it's growing pains. If you think that's interesting, come down here.
Yeah,
California's getting, it's like a bowl of Fruit Loops, I mean, it is. It's unreal. It's just unreal. It's crazy. But they really were pioneers of software in a lot of industries, not just detailing. We're going to get into that a little bit. And that's why I really want you to listen to their perspective, because what they've got, the insight and the wisdom, those are, wisdom's hard to get. You can be smart all you want, you can be clever all you want, but to develop wisdom's tough, and both these guys have it. So I'm going to skip around real quick. So before they go in and kind of introduce who they are, is Rod and I, we actually go back is we got introduced through the software side, but we actually had kids in school together. And that was a tie-in immediately. Like we looked over one night at school, there's some kind of parent, event coming on with our kids, and Rod's there, and went, whoa. And, we both love cars a lot,
Yes.
We're kind of car crazy. And then I met Jody, and again, it was like, okay, how can these two totally different dudes, be so dang cool? I mean, they're just both cool. Jody is what I would call the ultimate people person. is that this dude, both of them are, they support the industry. I'm going to take it one step further. They support people of the industry. I think there's a big difference with that, right? And Chris, we've seen it because they come out and but get in and jump in with both feet like they do. That's something special. You can put a lot of things out. You can teach. I heard this. I was sitting at a restaurant right before my brother had surgery a week. God, it's 2 weeks ago. Matter of fact, 2 weeks ago today, this happened. Is the manager of the hotel? It's the Mission Inn in Riverside, California. A really nice hotel here in Southern California. Very historic. President Nixon was married there. There's been I think seven or eight presidents stay at that hotel, through the centuries, so pretty historic. The manager was talking to us and he goes, he says, it's really interesting because, we were complimenting our staff that we came in contact to. And he goes, you guys happen to be in the same, being served by the same two people that have got a heart for hospitality. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? And he goes, well, he says, not to down anybody else, but we have to teach them hospitality. These people have it to their core. And so you can learn it. I can teach it, but to just have it as a special treat, it's a special person. And both of these guys have got a heart towards hospitality, a heart towards people that comes very, very natural to them. The tie-in, is what we talk about when we're all together is wide range. Jody's an expert at building up people. I was going through some dark times in the last couple of weeks. It seemed like he was the one that reached out to me right when I was at the holy crap, how am I going to get through this? Really it was weird. I can't, something I didn't expect. And Jody, thank you for those reach outs. And so with that, we're going to let them, and guys, it might sound like a brag fest. It is. I'm very proud to call these two friends, and I've known them a long time, and they do a lot for a lot of people. And so if you want to call that bragging, it's bragging. It is. All right. You guys are up.
All right. Well, I'm the good looking one. I don't know about smart and wisdom, but no,
At least your wife says that.
So yeah, my wife, she does say that, but no, I've tricked her. So
Right.
So I've been married 32 and a half years. I got 6 kids. Judy and I adopted 2. And I love family. I love, like you said, I love people. I kind of have a knack for languages. I teach myself languages, and because I don't like to not talk to people. It really bugs me if I can't talk to you. So, but yeah, I just, and Rod and I have been at this a long time. I'm probably the push on the gas guy, and he's the put on the brake guy, and that's a good balance. So sometimes I'm sure I frustrate him, and sometimes he frustrates me.
Jody.
So, but that's, that's kind of how you work together, and it creates a good blend. So
Absolutely. Have you guys done the disc together?
yeah, we did. We actually did that together. So
How far apart were you guys?
There were some big surprises there. Jody thought that on one level he was going to be up here and I was going to be down here, and actually we were closer.
We were closer than
that was the biggest surprise.
I thought Rod was going to be a higher C than he is. So, but he's no, and for a C, that's the guy that wants all the details and the knowledge and all that. And I think that's more of a learned behavior for him, just because he's very disciplined. He's learned that discipline, where it's maybe not necessarily natural. And I think a lot of times we get tripped up by our natural gift versus what's learned, right?
Yeah.
And I just don't want to learn it.
Yeah,
I rely on him to do that. I'm like,
Except for languages. You do want to lose, which is
languages
tricky.
is
Okay. You don't want to learn it, but here you go out and do one of the most complex things people can do, and that's learn a new language.
because it's all centered around people, right?
Check
I
that
am
out.
a high D. I'm a high I, right? High I's love people, right?
Yeah.
And so if there's a purpose behind it, I will go put in the effort. So
Okay. So, people are going, what the hell are they talking about? So Jody, got to explain what we are talking about.
yeah, so there are, we all have core personality traits, right? And they fall into people that are highly driven, highly interactive, highly supportive, stable, and highly, driven by knowledge and basis, right? So, and you fall naturally in a lot of those gifts. I am a 99D and I'm a 99I, which means I love people, but I also love results. Right. And so I'm very driven to make things happen. I'm very competitive, but at the same time, I'm also a very good competitor and I can rally people around. Now, Chris, he's a high S, right? He's more slower pace, more methodical. He's really cares about people. He wants time, right? And so these understanding how we play together enables you to work as a team more effectively, because I know that I am not good at the minutia. Rod is way better at the minutia than I am, because he's a higher C than I am. I'm a 9 and he's like a 30. Right. And so that difference really it makes up for my weakness, right? Because he's more gifted at that side of things than I am. So recognizing how those play together allows you to be a better team.
Oh, absolutely. And it's Chris and I are dead opposites too. It's Chris has got to know, what's going on, when it's happening exactly. And if it goes off of that at all, oh boy, we're in trouble.
Yeah, it throws them off.
And damn it, follow the rules while you're doing that. And I'm like, hey, what rules? And let's pivot. We're halfway there. Let's
go
hard right. Let's turn hard right. And he's like, no, let's not. So it is balance. And
yes,
and you're right. Every once in a while, we have to push it. Most of the time we flow very good together, but every once in a while there's a little, the other one's got to push the other one direction or the other if they feel strongly about it.
And
but
you got to be open to receive that. So.
Yeah, and I think what it does too is it starts to, Chris has made me a little more aware of things, and I think I've opened up Chris's where he's a little more game to pivot, and so it really works if you lose your ego and you keep calm and you're an open-minded, it's going to change your life.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you've got one person working with you. I'll tell you, even if I was just young and going into business, or just going into business and 50, it doesn't matter. I would take this assessment and learn what you are, and then learn what the characteristics of the other ones are, so you're a better communicator.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. Is just part of it is just learning how to communicate and giving people the space to work within their gifts. Right. Because a lot of times, we are, especially you and I, we're very impetuous. We're like, let's jump, let's go. Right. And having somebody that's like, whoa, that's a good idea. But did you think about this? Oh, and did you think about these two things? Because if we don't consider these, we're running towards a cliff. Right. And so having that understanding of how you play together is really, really critical to your business, especially if you have a team or business partners. It can even affect your marriage. So
yeah, no, it's really, since we've done that, and I keep mine's right here. I look at it quite often. I challenged my daughter, our youngest daughter, to read it so she'd understand me a little better, in hopes that I could get her to take it, but it's still sitting. She hasn't touched it. Yeah, I think that's the answer. And I think that answer is, I don't care, Dad. So, we talked about the long-term friendships, the deep connections, but let's hear a little bit, about you guys, your backgrounds, kind of where you came from, and how the heck did you guys get together?
Yeah, so I'll kick that one off. So I'm Rod, and how we got this together is much like you and I's story, Renny, is that, 31 years ago? Yeah, 31 years ago.
Yeah.
So there are 4 partners.
I forget about
Zenware. Yeah, there are 4 partners with Zenware, and one of them is my brother-in-law. So there's me, and then there's my brother-in-law. There's his brother, Spencer, and then there's Jody. And my brother-in-law and Jody were best friends in California over 30 years ago. And my sister-in-law and brother-in-law moved to Boise, Idaho, and Jody and his wife followed them because they were friends. And so I met Jody 30-some years ago, just as a friend of a brother-in-law. And then fast forward to 2005, I had a different business. I had been in the software industry, and I got frustrated where I was working. So I went to a different industry, started a company. And then after I started my own business as a residential building inspector, I went to work at a different software company, and Jody happened to be the sales manager. So I worked with Jody. He had his office, and he was part of the team that I was in. I was the sales engineer, so I was kind of the in between technical and sales.
The translator.
Yeah, I speak nerd and human. Those are the two languages I have. I speak car guy too, but usually it's not appropriate on the podcast. So
yeah, absolutely. I speak that language too.
Yeah. So that's my later life. My early life, starting in the 80s, I was an auto mechanic. I have apparently my goal in life is to have certifications in everything. So I was an ASE certified mechanic in the early 80s. I have a certification in 49 of the 50 states as a residential building inspector. I am a certified skills validated detailer. And it just that's what I do, is collect certifications, I guess. And then Jody and I started working at the software company. They had a small application like RoadFS, and I took it on because of my automotive background. And so I started going to Mobile Tech Expo around the 2006, 2007 time period. And that's about when Renny and I connected on the car level. And we basically took a laptop into your shop here in Boise and just dropped it off and said, here's our software. Just evaluate it and tell us what's wrong with it. Because we figured that was the best way to get feedback, was to have somebody that was actually in the industry tell us what was good, bad, or indifferent about it. So that's how long we've been working together. And ironically, less than a month from now is our 13th anniversary as Zenware. So on September 9th, we have been in business 13 years together. We started it in September of 2009. We had zero money and we had zero employees, and the four of us used to meet in our kitchens once a week. And we wrote code and developed a piece of software with $0, zero funding, and just started scratching and knocking on doors until we sold it to somebody, and then just built a business around it. We've had as many as 24 employees, and like I said, as few as 4. Right now we have 12 employees, and we have a contractor. Well, you get 12. So 12 employees and a contractor that comprise Zenware. And then 4 of those are dedicated solely to RoadFS.
Wow. So it's been a battle, because let's go back 13 years ago. What year was that?
2009.
Yeah, and 08, 09, 2010. Those were tough. Those were tough years.
Those were tough years.
Yep. Nobody wanted to talk software at all in the detailing industry. They didn't care.
No.
Well, the first 5 years, nobody cared, right?
Yeah.
Because they didn't see the value of it. I mean, we came into the industry educating people about why software, and more importantly, systems were important in your business, right? And so we've spent a lot of times educating, the people that we worked with, both as customers and non-customers, because, it was just, I know how to detail. I have a good business. I'm making money. What it's coming in. I don't know if I'm profitable or not, right? But I'm making money.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's been kind of one of the fun things about our journey, is seeing the industry evolve and mature.
And people, in fact, there's a industry leader. We all know him. I'm not gonna mention this because it's kind of embarrassing to him. But when we first started this, at our very first Mobile Tech Expo, Renny, you introduced us to this guy, and you said, "This is Rod and Jody. They have a software company." His first words to us is, "You guys need to stop doing this. You're wasting your time. Nobody needs software."
Actually, he said, "You're wasting your effing time."
Yeah, you're wasting your effing time. Nobody needs software. So I actually have talked to him about it since then. And I told him, I said, you don't know me really well, but that's been a huge motivator of mine for 13 years. It was just this year that I told him that. And I said, that's kept me going for a long time. So please tell me something else that I can't do, because I love to have people tell me I can't do something.
Rod doesn't
that is
like
a
to be
huge
told
motivator.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Hey, Rod, you can't tell so many people about our training program in the next 3 months that we saw next year in 4 weeks.
That's perfect. That is.
By the way, hey, our training, and this is a big part of you guys. Our training, our 5 days are sold out for this year.
That's
We're booking
fantastic.
That's
into next
awesome.
year. Is that
that
cool
is
or what?
fantastic.
Sorry, guys. I've got a great white fly. He's
I know. I
attacking
keep
me.
seeing it fly around you.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, I'm about ready to move because this thing, I just can't, I can't beat this thing, man. It's fly season here. We don't even have our horses here. We don't even have horses here, but we have chickens, and so there's chickens all around us.
The
So that
chickens
brings
love
it
to
in.
eat 'em, so that's about.
That's exactly. Yeah, I'm about ready to, especially fly season. But so Jody, you're up. So tell us a little background on you and how this all came together for you from your perspective.
Like Rod said, we were part of another software company. I started with that company in 2003, I think, and all the way to 2009. And the thing that was really interesting about being part of another company was I had the mindset and the passion that I was going to build this business, right? I was there the morning of our first sale, $29.99. And I drove that company to be, $6 million a year company, right?
Wow.
And I was very invested. And we ended up going through 3 investment cycles with outside firms. And what Rod and I saw was every time another group of investors came in, we lost a piece of our core identity, our core focus. And it got to the point where, like, man, by the time the third guy came in, we're like, yeah, we're done, right? And part of the real kicker was Rod and I actually went into the SBC, the SBA, and we said, look, we work for this company. We see them struggling, and we would like to take some recommendations that would help them go to the next level. And that guy goes, why are you here and not the owners of the company? He goes, it sounds like you guys should just go create your own company and build that.
And we did.
So we did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that side of the story. Hey, do you guys remember who actually introduced us the first time?
Me and you?
Both of us. The tie-in to all of us.
I don't.
Nick.
Action.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
Nick Eschen, yes.
Yeah. Good. Nick. I run into Nick every once in a while, and yeah, he was the original. He came over to our Sun Valley operation a few times, and then introduced it. He cemented in a lot with us. So Nick, thank you, because the friendships have been pretty meaningful. So hey, so pioneering software, you just mentioned it. We've really seen a revolution, especially towards software. But I think what we've seen too is software has helped the industry become true entrepreneurs. Instead of creating jobs and not paying taxes and not knowing what anything is, I think you guys are out in the forefront ringing that bell. And so what have you seen, especially the last decade?
Oh my gosh. I think what we've seen in the last decade is just innovation. A lot of people ask us, how we react to new software companies coming in. And quite honestly, all it does is motivate us to build better software. It's just like if, with the onset of multiple tools, if there was just one tool company, the innovations go slower. As soon as you have multiple tool companies coming on board, it drives innovation. And software does the same thing. And just the features that we can bring to the table and the ability to do things like track things we never could track 5 years ago, to think that you could send somebody an invoice on their phone and they could pay for it while they're sitting in a coffee shop is just incredible.
Right.
But it's the tracking aspect. I mean, knowing, what's been done to this car, and the ability to, you bring your car in tomorrow, I scan it and I can tell you everything that's ever been done to that car. So just innovations in the software and allowing business owners to take that worry of that part of their business and put it aside and let it be handled by something electronic.
Well, I think too, we've seen a big shift, but between going from I'm a detailer, I'm a craftsman, I'm an artist, to I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a business owner. And that shift is really important because what I've seen is that people are thinking about their business more strategically, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that you're strategically trying to grow. Oops, did we lose you?
Well, I still
Yeah.
hear you.
Yeah, we
Okay.
hear you, but we don't see you.
I don't know what happened. Oh, it looks
Look
like
at
our
right
camera
right
went
there,
off.
just
Hold on
keep
one
it.
sec. Let me go here. Let me try this.
There you go. Something almost worked. There you
There
go.
we go.
Hey,
I,
you're
you
back.
know what? I have no
I
idea.
think the tape.
I
Anyway,
must have bounced it, but
Jody was speaking, so he was just he transcended to another realm.
that's right,
of his-
baby. So, but I think that has made. I mean, when we're talking to business owners, they're thinking about strategic growth. They're thinking about how they free up their time, how they're more efficient, how they're more profitable. Whereas before it was just, let me make the car shiny and let me show you everything I've done. Right. So they're thinking, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going, I want to become 25, 30, 100 guys. Some of them are going, I want to be, a family sized business. And this is the kind of lifestyle that I want. And so they're thinking about how to build a lifestyle around based on their business.
Absolutely.
And that's a big thing that I see.
I think detailing, and I've always said this, we were when we met, when Rod and I first, met, we were a pretty sizable operation, and I've always said that detailing, it's changed now a lot since those days, but I think you got to be careful. I think it's a great, Jody, you just hit it, a family style business. There's going to be the people out there, the men and women that just grow it, right? And they grow it into huge, and that's great. But being there had already been, being there, and it is different because coatings came into it, software's come into it. Appreciation for detailing is, you can't even compare it to 12 years ago. You can't, not at all.
No.
The appreciation alone for our industries is significantly different. So this might be a little out of there, but I don't think so. I still think that if I had my way, I would probably run myself and 1 to maybe 3 other people, and that's about as big as I'd get. I specialize. I was talking to Jim Gogan. We all know Jim Gogan, and he's out of Ipswich, Mass, and he's done exactly that. They really crank it up in the spring and get a lot of business done. And they just tell people, hey, this is where our schedule is, and we're out of ways, and they wait because they love doing business with them, and it's a real lifestyle. He's on his boat every evening. He still works very hard, but they've scheduled, the old fishbowl story. They put their big rocks in first, and the sand and the water that goes into the fishbowl is what fits in around those big items. And so Jim's done a fabulous job of putting life out first, and then fitting everything else in. And
that was something that you and I talked about years and years ago, Renny. You came in, it was 2017. You came in, sat in our conference room, and you asked us about that. And it was at that time, it had taken us that long in our business. But I was having a real hard time personally balancing that out, because my personality, much like you and I had a lot in common there. We were both pegged as not smart in school, and ADD and a bunch of different issues. I get so hyper focused on the business. And my wife finally, one day I came home and she just grabbed my phone and put it down and said, after 5 o'clock, you're mine. And so I think that's really important what Jim's doing. You have to put your family first and your priorities first, feed yourself, that kind of thing. And so I started doing that. When I went home, I just turned my phone off. And on the weekends, I do my own thing and work on my own projects. And I try as hard as I can not to focus on the business. And quite honestly, it's made our business better when we take the time to focus on other things and realize that you can't go 24/7 because you're not going to have the sharpness of mind and you're not going to be going. It's just like in some of the projects that we do, right? It's like, Air Force One is probably the hardest week somebody's going to work in their life. But at the end of that, you have the patio talks and everybody relaxes and you're breaking bread with your friends and your brothers and your sisters. And then you sleep and you get up and you're energized to do it again. And you have to break those priorities up. You take time to celebrate the wins. You take time to, celebrate each other. Some of the rituals that go on there with the flag and with honoring people on a daily basis. I think that's what makes that event so successful and so life-changing, is that it breaks those things up into little micro celebrations of what you're doing. And it's not like hey, you're doing a good job, get back to work. It's literally stopping the momentum like you do in your life. You stop the momentum on a weekend, mm-hmm. Go out and you play, you go for a hike with the dog, you go for a boat with the kids, you go up into the mountains and you sit on your butt and relax for a day. And then you're ready to go back into it. And I think that people that aren't taking the time to do that in their personal life and in their business, they're missing out. They're totally missing out. It can be something like a couple of days ago, we had the most people we'd had back in the office since COVID. We had like 7 or 8 people in the office physically.
It was so weird.
And Jody immediately walked in, and with his personality, he just goes, holy crap, there's 8 people. Wait, I'm going to go get lunch. And so he went and he just bought like a crap ton of tacos, like a bazillion tacos, and brought them back. And it's little things like that you have to do that just celebrate where you are and who you are and what you're doing.
I think it makes you more profitable too, is
yeah,
when you get away from things and you open up, you've only got capacity for so much processing. This big, 10-pound brain, some people have a lot bigger one. Some people have a lot smaller one. Yeah, I think that, when if we overload, and a lot of people ignore this, when you overload that mental capacity, one of the first things that goes is your creative edge.
Yeah.
And your ability to connect with people, because you're burned out. And so I think it's really important to reset that brain into fun. Listen, we weren't made to have this. I always say the analogy, what's the 10-year-old thinking of yourself right now? Is that 10-year-old you thinking that you're an idiot for acting like this? Or are they going, yeah, right on. Yeah. All this you do those 5 days a week that allows you to do this these 2 days a week. Way to go. Let's keep doing this,
Yeah.
But if you just, burnout too is going to end it. It's a game ender. And, you're going to hit an age at some point. Everybody's going to age, and you're going to hit an age to where it's just like, I'm done. How far do you want to go? Yeah. Tell you. You might be 20 and listening to this and thinking, oh man, these old guys know what they're talking about. It's going to happen before you know it. Your parents told you this, your grandparents told you this, we're telling you this, is that you got to keep yourself mentally and physically healthy. It's going to make a big, your show, the length of your show. Do you want a 1-week flop, or do you want a 13-year run on Broadway?
Yeah. And I think that people don't realize that one of the biggest reasons businesses fail is growing too fast. It's not controlling that curve. It's they get in and they go, okay, this is great. I got 15 jobs. Holy crap, I need to hire somebody. I better hire 5 people. I better get a huge building. I better just leverage my credit to the hilt and buy all this stuff. And then 2 weeks later, something happens. And we saw that in 2020, where within 2 weeks of COVID, people were going out of business. And I'm like, if you can't survive 2 weeks, you weren't surviving.
Period.
We could shut the doors right now and Jody and I could go on a 2-week hiatus and come back and we'd be in the same spot. You got to build yourself up to where you can do that. Jeremy Loki was asking on a business podcast the other day, he was saying, how many of you have used a line of credit? And I was really surprised at how many people didn't know what the value of a line of credit, a revolving line of credit was. And I just think that people need to, business is one of the most asked questions. When you say, what do you need to know more about? People say, I need to know more about business, but it's also the least thing that they will listen to. If on our podcast, we put out, hey, it's the business series, we're going to talk about, finances and all stuff. Nobody, right? A few people listen, but then that's the number one thing that people say they need to know. So take the opportunity to learn more about business. We're not.
What's shocking? What's shocking about what you just said? But they'll hear an online guru say, you could name your topic the same thing as an online guru, because a lot of these people don't want to be where you and I are at, even though they're not even close to being there yet. They want to be where that guru is. And what they don't understand is it's a ladder and there's rungs that you've got to climb. But they just want to take and say, hey, can you airlift me up? Yeah, I want to be I want to be Grant Cardone. Who are these guys?
Yeah. They want to go from 5 figures to 20 figures overnight.
Yeah. And they have no clue that Grant Cardone is a great guy. I'm still kind of mad at him though. That's another topic. I'm going to take full responsibility. Got him a position on a TV show, and I never got a call. I'm just saying, I'm a little hurt.
Wow.
I'm actually not. It's a joke. But we see that all the time. Is people don't want to, they don't want to hit that middle. They want to start and then hit the stars and have all the lights and their name up on a billiard, and they want to be the show. And you got to take in, you got to earn your right. You might be 1 in a million that every once in a while just hits it right. I was never that guy. We had to build everything. But it comes back to this, and it's pretty cool that you guys just mentioned that, because we're going to ask. That's a question I'm going to ask in a second. But other industries you're involved in, because this is important, because so many people have this going on, and when you guys, Jody, and when we met, I think I had 5 different businesses going. 5, all very successful, all either sold out or Detailing Success was going at that time. We sold out a couple of our shops. We sold out our transportation company. We sold out our taxi. We had believe it or not, a taxi company. We sold out our executive protection company. We sold all those things. Why? Because they'd grown so big. Again, family business. I didn't want to run the problems, have the problems, because it was 7 days a week and it just wasn't in my lifestyle. So we built them and sold them. But let's talk about the other industries you guys are in. What lessons have you learned from those industries?
So I'll tell you some of the industries. Jody can tell you the lessons. No, we'll bounce back and forth. But we are involved in a variety of other like automotive type of industries. Like we have, our software works in conventional body shops, auto repair shops, mobile, and like somebody that needs to go out and fix an alternator, change brakes, or mobile repair. We are also in electrical inspections. We are in the farming industry. So we have a different application called Harvest Point that goes out into the field, and it tracks produce from growth cycle all the way to the stores.
That's cool.
We still have a contract with the Department of Interior. We have an application that is a private application that has to do with helicopters. And so we are under contract as a single source contract with the Department of Interior. In fact, next week I go down to the office and talk to the heads of the department. It's here. It's located. Its headquarters is in Boise, Idaho. And so we are a single source contract for that application. We are in,
well, and RoadFS itself. I mean, we're in moving companies, people that do storage, moving, like you said, electrical inspections, HVAC, like duct repair and duct clean outs. And so it's a furniture repair, office. I mean, it's
coffee delivery, distribution. So anybody that delivers anything from one location to another or takes orders. I mean, Well,
see, what I love about this is that your tribal knowledge, you got a lot of tribes coming together.
Yeah.
And that's where that's where sitting with these guys and talking is, because they're broad. They're a much broader spectrum than what most of us are, even much broader than what my influences are. I have to pay for a couple of my influences from other industries, for mentorship and stuff. And you guys learn from this automatically. So how much of that you learn from these other industries have you seen finally detailing's coming into it? And I know you guys have played a part of that, because you've been out there pushing this for so long.
Yeah, that's a good question. What's interesting is a lot of the business processes are the same, right? People think, oh, I'm a detailer, no one does it exactly like me. But 90% of the process, whether you're doing moving companies, scheduling moves and stuff, the process is generally the same, right? You have some nuances, but those nuances, we can turn on and off in our software, right? We've learned what are the things that they do need and what they don't need, right? And so, but the other thing that's been interesting is to think about how people approach their market, right? Because I think a lot of times, especially in the detail world, they get so consumed about, I got to make this thing shiny, right? Instead of thinking about, what is the customer experience? What before and after my service? What is the impact on my business if I don't get this invoice into the system or I don't get it to them in a timely manner? How do I improve payment processing, right? We got the coffee delivery guys. I mean, it's about signature on acceptance of delivery. Right. Well, is that applicable to a detail business owner? Potentially.
Yeah.
Right. Do you want to
Absolutely.
do an inspection and sign that off? So there's a lot of lessons that we're like, all right, that actually is applicable in this business. Right. And so being able to cherry pick those and go, all right, we're going to incorporate those and allow you to turn that on and off is really critical.
And that's, I think, when you asked earlier what we've learned from other industries, what we've learned is that our software needs to be very, very flexible. So, some of the questions that are rolling up here, we have people that are doing automotive repair alongside of detailing. We have people that are doing a landscaper that has also got a
snow
removal business, and they're using the same software, but it appears different to their different clients. And so it's very convertible. Cool. We call it a configurable application because in the back of it, there are hundreds of little settings you can turn on and off. And, if tomorrow you want, I've got a couple of franchises that use it. And so all the franchisees have their own version. And when they send out an invoice, it goes out from their franchise. And then it all rolls up into one for the franchisor to see all the revenue. So what we've learned is that we have to be so unbelievably flexible because tomorrow somebody's going to throw us a curveball and go, hey, and this is a real example. Hey, I go in and I fix the booths in restaurants. And I also do paint touch up and detailing. And I need to have the same software.
Wow.
And so we have to do that. And as it goes out differently, it goes out as a different set of things. So questions about hiding service pricing and rolling it into a kit. Absolutely. We are in a couple of the major online automotive sellers like your Carvana, Vroom, CarMax, those type of online ordering cars from a vending machine type of things. We're in a couple of those very, very large markets. And they're pumping 145 cars a day through our system. And so we have to be very flexible. I fly out to a location about twice or three times a year and go through that facility. And it's unbelievable the amount of speed and demand that they have on the software. So that's taught us a really lot because when that first started happening, we couldn't handle 145 cars a day going through that system. And
that's probably one of the biggest strains on our team, right? How do we build fast enough, right? Because because we're in so many industries, we're like, all right, how do we implement it? Because a lot of times people come, can you do this? Well, when we think about that feature, we're thinking about it from, all right, how does this impact these other industries? And if they don't need it, how do we turn it off?
Yep.
Or how do we turn it on, right? And so a lot of times something seems really simple, but when we're looking at it, we're like, all right, we got to be more strategic about that. And I think that is a really important thing for business owners. It's like a lot of times you have opportunities, but are you going to take advantage of the opportunity in a way that will sustain over time?
Absolutely.
Not just a quick dollar.
Right. The flash in the pan thing is not going to work. I mean, we've been, Jody and I joked about it, and it literally was a joke because when ceramic coatings first started coming out, and Jody and I put out a podcast and we had some stuff about ceramic coatings, and we had gone to Utah and done a one-day training at, you were there, Bob Phillips was there, and we did a one-day training, PNS, and Budco was there, and we did this training. We put out a bunch of videos, we had a podcast, and all of a sudden, Jody and I got this rash of calls. to do ceramic coatings. And we joked about putting a tent up in front of our office and doing ceramic coatings. I'm like, Jody, we're getting a call a week. We could net $9,000, $1,200 a week and do a couple of ceramic coatings. We joked about it. But then when we started talking about it seriously, we said, look, this is a flash in the pan. We could make a little bit of money, but it wouldn't be sustainable. It would pull us away from our core thing.
Amen. There you go.
We don't want to do that, because if we do that, it's gonna bastardize what we do. We're gonna end up competing with the people that we're trying to sell software to, and in the long run, it's not sustainable. So that is the reason that we don't do that. People ask that of me all the time. They're like, well, why don't you do this on the side? I'm like, because I would rather help the people that do it for a living and not
feed it to somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That leads us into the next question. So you've got the artiste out there in any industry.
Yep.
Then you got the craftsman and you got the entrepreneur. Who's winning the battle?
They all are.
Yeah.
They all are, right? It's you choose what fits your interest, your passion, your drive, right? And I think a lot of times people go, well, I'm not this guy. I'm not that guy, right? Instead of going, whoa. In fact, one of our customers, I had a discussion with him last week, and he was specifically asking me, he goes, looking at your other customers, what are some things you think that I could do in my business? I'm like, well, it really depends on what you want to do. I go, because you're in this higher volume, lower cost space, which you have dialed in. I go, I have an exact customer just like you in Jacksonville. And he has decided to create a boutique shop. He goes, oh, I would never do that. Don't even let me touch those high-end cars. I don't want the liability or what. And I'm like, that's what you need to understand about you. Right?
Yeah, there you go.
You need to understand that about you.
And my answer to the question is, the people that are winning are the ones that know which one of those they are. When you try to be all things to all people, but you're not good at any of them, you're not going to do it. You're not a master of anything. So choose what you're going to do. And I watch people do that every day, right? And I'm gonna point some people out here that you guys know very well. Scott Masha, like Jim Gogan, is a master of his environment, because he knows he's not in a place. He's in Yarmouth, Maine. He's not in a place where he's going to be a boutique and do a lot of Ferraris. But he does enough things in enough areas to keep himself going. Motorcycles and boats and storage and floor mats and U-Hauls. And he does all of that where he owns his own building. He could rent it out if he wants to. He's got 3 or 4 different business models going on. And unlike some areas where you can go and work on high-end cars all day long, he doesn't do that. And he does great for himself because he understands his environment. And I think that's the key, is understanding your environment and then playing to the benefits of that environment, right? If you live in a wet, cold, nasty climate, man, you are the interior king or queen. Get in there and do those interiors all day long, because that's where 90% of the people are. And the outsides, it's snowy and cold and nasty, and they're not going to care about it. And then in the springtime, you're picking up on all the, hey, your car's been sitting all winter, let's get the road salt off of it. So I think people can win as long as they focus on what they can win at in their environment.
Well, and within the chapter they're at, maybe they're starting out young and they got into this because it was, a survival situation, and they grow into being an entrepreneur.
Yep.
You don't know where you're going to go, right? Don't settle for something. And second, that if what you're doing in life isn't paying you the rewards back that you need, you got to ask yourself some hard questions. Do I really know what I'm doing? And what can I improve? What can I get second opinion? Do you really know what you're doing? Has anybody told you that? I mean, your customers, if you're detailing for your aunt and your 2 cousins and your mom, they think you're the best in the world. But what about the rest of the world? That's when you start getting into serious competition with serious people. So that runs us into 2 more questions. Competition. We talked about that.
Yeah.
You guys have seen you guys handle yourself so well with software competition. I think it's an example for people in the trenches to follow. Is you're not battling it out with those companies. You're just how do you handle competition?
The thing is you got to embrace it. Like we were saying earlier, it just gives you an opportunity to improve. it's quite honestly, this is something that we're working on. Is the IDA sent out their call to do speakers at MTE, and I actually put it back a suggestion, and I said, I suggest you have me and Dustin Jackson from Detail Bookie do a joint presentation.
Oh, how cool is that?
Because I think you have to embrace it.
Yeah.
The days of battling it out and bashing each other and saying why you're so much better than somebody else, it doesn't work. It just all you're doing is making yourself look like an ass, and there's room for everybody. I actually have a situation right now where we have a customer that is using a competitive software for one part of their business, and they want to use us for the other part of their business, and they want us to talk to each other. And the other company, which I'm not going to mention which one it is, because they're still confused as to why we would do that. And I'm like, well, because our joint client wants it. We're not making a killing. This is, a couple $100 a month, but they need to have those pieces of software talk to each other. And there's no reason not to do that.
And I can understand the perspective, right? But here's the way I look at it is, like Rod said, there's room for everybody. But your only true competition is yourself.
Amen.
I mean, are you better than you were yesterday? Are you sitting down with your team and going, all right, this is a gap in our software. This is a gap in our process. What do we need to do to improve? Because a lot of times I think companies struggle because they want to be $100,000 a year company. They want to be $500,000. They want to be $1 million, $2 million a year company. But the problem is in order for you to become $100,000 a year company or $1 million a year company, you have to have the foundation in place to build upon. Because if you don't have the foundation, you're inevitably going to be coming back and revisiting that foundation of the things you tried to skip.
Amen. Man, great advice. So a lot of this we've already covered, but I want to tell you, go back into some fun things. Rod and I with our kids, it was a great tie-in. Always has been, and it just brought the friendship to a new level. And then there's a reason why I'm mentioning these two things. And then just recently with Jody and I, we took Carlos from Uber Detail, up to Sun Valley, Idaho. The guy just started skiing. An immigrant, came from Mexico City, started skiing up here in Big Bear where we live. And I told him, hey, if you really get into it, I'm going to take you to Sun Valley. We're going to go every year. And Jody came up and skied with us the one day. The skiing was fun. And it was fun. But to sit down on that patio after skiing and have 3 entrepreneurs come together and just talk about struggles in our life and struggles within our business, and really things that we dig, and really big successes that we've had in business and how to handle it. It was just, we sat down there until it was almost dark. And so the point of this is connections. I don't care what industry you're in, man. If you build these connections, those are the times you're going to really blossom. And it doesn't matter if you view that person as competition. You said it. Competition it's only you. And so put the spears down. Put the guns down. Don't try to, don't go after competition. There's more work out there, whatever industry you're in, than you can possibly handle if you're good and if you connect with people. So I'm going to go in. We hit about everything. We're almost at the time. So, Rod, something that someone shared with you once that you could share today.
Yeah, I thought about this. There's a couple things. There's obvious ones from customers that have had successes using our software, and it's helped them get buildings or whatever. But actually, one of the most impactful is something that happened to me from my father. And years and years ago, in another lifetime, I was a competitive distance runner. I've ran all over the country. I was on a national registry. I've ran 4-minute miles. I took 3rd in the Junior Olympics. So I was a highly competitive distance runner. And I was a cocky little bastard when I was doing it, man. I was the greatest thing in the world. I was from a small town in Idaho, and I was the best in the town, literally. And I was going to take off this race in St. Louis, and it was a nationally ranked event. And right before I went, my dad grabbed me and he said, there's always going to be somebody better than you. You may be the best today, but at some point, somebody's going to beat you. And I thought, man, what a creep. This guy doesn't support me. What an ass. I thought, man, he's just a jerk. And I went to the race, and I took third. This was actually the Junior Olympics, the finals of the Junior Olympics in 1981. And I took third in the nation. Our team that I was on did. And I got back, and I was all excited about it. I had the bronze medal and everything. And I kind of tried to throw it in his face. And then I realized what he was saying. And it impacted me for the rest of my life. And what he was saying is, he wasn't saying that I wasn't good. He was saying, enjoy what you're doing, but be humble about it. It doesn't matter what level you're on. At some point, you want to help someone else get to the next level. You want to help somebody be better than you, get there faster, and become a mentor to somebody. And when it impacted me the most is I actually went to his office to kind of throw it in his face. And I literally didn't think he supported me. And I went to his office and I looked behind his desk, and there was a poster bigger than this with me running. And it wasn't a good picture. It was not me winning. It was me. It was a race that I lost, and I was struggling, and I was in great pain. And he had it blown up that big over his desk. And he said, because that's real. That's the struggle. And he goes, and I see where you've come today. And so that has impacted me greatly throughout my life. And I've told him about that. And I try to take that into my life as well and look at it. And we need to build people up, right? We have young kids that come in as software engineers. We need to help them get there faster. Detailers, we need to help them get there faster. And that's why one of our missions is just to help people succeed. So that's been a huge impact since I was like 14 years old, and it just continues today.
That's awesome. Jody, same question.
There are so many things that have been shared with me that, dude, picking one would be a challenge. And I thought about a lot of them, but I think I would share something that I share with my kids. My kids have big, big dreams. My son is an actor, a model. He's in LA. He's on the edge of being the opening act at the Hollywood Bowl, potentially. He's in the Final Five now. My daughter had big dreams of being a D1 volleyball athlete, and she's 5'3". Right? And I've always told my kids, why not you?
Boy.
Because I think a lot of people, they look at everybody else and they look at all of their limitations and they close the door on themselves instead of going, why not me?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that is really, really critical because now, I've built a stage in them where they're willing to take big risk. And you're only willing to take big risk if you believe in yourself. So why not you?
Absolutely. And go along with that, to add to both of those is, educate yourself. Don't watch other people and what they're doing. 80% of it, 90% of it's BS. You're not seeing behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz,
Yeah.
You're not seeing really what the wizard is, and who's, the pipes going out and this and that, and how it could collapse at any time. So one thing on this one, question to you both. We'll go with Jody this time first. Something that excites you about entrepreneurial wise, in business. Is there one thing that you just, even when you talk about it, you just get excited? I think I know the answer to this for you, but
I just want to have impact.
Yeah.
I mean,
Cool.
that is my year for my word for 2022, impact. I want to have impact, whether I'm having impact with our software or I'm having impact on your life as an individual. I am driven by having impact, right? And I just want to see everybody win. And I want to, more importantly, not win. I want you to become who you were meant to be. Because a lot of us just settle.
No,
for
totally.
good.
Rod, same question.
Yeah, for me, I think that I love it because I just look at it as constantly checking things off that bucket list, whether it's business, things, goals we have in business, or whether it's my personal bucket list, or whether it's watching Jody get his or you get yours or whatever that bucket list is. I'm always excited to see people succeed in what they want and be part of that, you know? So I think that's what drives me as an entrepreneur, to watch somebody start out with our software that was part-time, and then the next year they're full-time, and then they have an employee, and then they're making their first 7-figure year or whatever it is. I just like watching those successes and being part of it on any level.
You know, I'm going to share mine. I wasn't going to do this, but what really excites me is seeing people buy their buildings that they're in for their business, that they actually own the real estate.
Yep.
Isn't it? I mean, that's something I had my first engagement with that as a pretty young entrepreneur. And I think the sooner you can do it, the better you are, because that eventually we got a friend, I won't mention him, but we've got a friend that owns a car wash on a piece of property up in Washington State, but he owns the whole complex. And he got into detailing because he built the complex in 2008. There wasn't a lot, and it's a very nice complex. A lot of nice businesses in it. Very many nice businesses. High-end area, a high-end strip mall. He's got a top-notch self-serve car wash, roll through, friction and touchless both. And he had a detail shop in there. Well, he actually sold his shop to one of his staff because in the mobile side of it, because the real estate had become so valuable where the shop was, he could make more money from the lease and not doing anything than he could off the business. And eventually your income's going to come from real estate and not from working with your hands.
Yeah.
The sooner you can make that happen. And here's what's the amazing thing. I've seen it at a higher level these last 2 years than I hoped for.
Oh yeah, for sure. The first time we got to help somebody buy property, and I, I'm the same way. I won't mention who it is, but somebody that was using RoadFS, and they came to us, and I helped them put together the documents and take them to the bank. And when he called me back on the phone and said I got the building, it was a huge win for us. And it wasn't even our building. And I told Jody, I said, I'm like emotional about this. And it's not even ours, but I just thought it was so cool that he got to buy that building, because that put him in such a better position.
No, I think it really does. And so, okay. So lastly, this is more a statement. I can't believe the mecca that Idaho's become for the automotive world. I mean, it's, you guys with the Rad Company right there, you've got, world-class painters, body guys, car builders. It's always been, we knew it. We were very, our Sun Valley operation was, a hidden gem, right? I mean, it was unreal, the business we did, but it explodes. And it's funny because yesterday, Jody and I were just texting back and forth. And I said, man, dude, could you imagine if I was still in Idaho, the connections and what we could be doing together?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's unbelievable. I was, when we were out in Hidden Springs doing Sydney's car show this summer, that was one of the biggest number of cars that I've ever seen at a car show here in Idaho. There's so many. Yeah, there's so many people out here. There's actually the oldest car club in America is in Boise, Idaho. So a guy started it in 1964. It's called the Idaho Chariots, and it's the longest running car club in America. So it's always been a real mecca for that. And I think it's a great environment for cars and car people and entrepreneurs in general.
That's cool. All right. So, hey, how do people connect with you? How are they going to get a hold of you? How do they find you in social media? And then if they want to reach out to you because, man, you're just so dang handsome, they got to find out what skincare you use,
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of sun, baby. A lot of sun.
Yeah.
So roadfs.com, zenware.com, or then RoadFS on
Instagram, Twitter,
Facebook. YouTube is RoadFS Detail Memoirs. We actually are close to our 200th episode.
Wow.
Podcast. So just look up RoadFS on anything and get a hold of us. We'd love to do whatever, talk to you about software or cars or business or whatever we can. Picnics, boating.
I love it. Well, can't wait to see you guys again.
One of the guys in the chat wants to know if the software can be used for landscape businesses.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a landscaper using it right now.
Yes.
Yep. And
That's
there was
awesome.
somebody else I caught a question about somebody asking about like time and materials on general automotive repair. Yes, we have that in there as well.
Pretty cool.
That was actually more specifically a repair and detailing business, a little
Yeah.
combination of both.
We do both. We do both.
Unreal. I think I know the individual that you do that with. Where are they located?
Boise.
Oh, they are. I've got another kid I'm going to turn you on to. He's up in Northern California. I met him at a PNS event. He
Oh.
needs you. He needs you.
Yeah, there's
does.
another guy in the Houston, Texas area that has a landscaping business as well. So yeah, it's a little weird, but we do it.
No, that's weird works, man. I like weird. Normal is broke. Weird is wealthy. You know?
Yep.
I don't like that. So, hey, guys, it's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. And it's always a pleasure. Can't wait to see you again. And Carlos has already hit me up for our when we're going back to Sun Valley. And I
Let's
told him,
go.
There you go.
Let's go.
we're not going to go that late in the season this time. We're going to go up when the whole mountain's open. And I told him, you better start, Thanksgiving Day, usually here, we open up. And I said, you better start skiing a lot, because when we go up there and the whole mountain's open, it's a big mountain. So
It's a big mountain.
It's a big mountain. Well, you guys take care, man. And I can't wait to see you again. Thanks for coming on. You guys, make sure to check these out. Hey, like always, if you've liked this, make a comment below. Make sure to share it. If you got something you want us to talk about or a guest you'd love us to bring on, hey, man, email it over to us. You can take Chris at detailingsuccess.com or Renny at detailingsuccess.com. Either way, get it over to us, but we love to hear from you guys. If it's made an impact on you, our number one goal, Chris, is what? Every single podcast, we want one simple thing. Boy, that was stalled.
Purpose, baby.
I got nothing. We want to make an impact on one of you. I've got you. I want to make an impact on one of you. Chris. Yeah.
Well, I thought it was a different. I couldn't steal the word that Jody was using earlier, so I thought I was trying to think of something else, but impact was it.
Yeah, we just want to make an impact.
He was thinking about his car.
Yeah, he was. He was already. Which one?
His little VW Bug, man.
I think what he's been doing is he's been digging a vault under his house. He's got his cars parked under his house. He's kind of got a Batman hangout or something like that.
Oh, I wish. I've been thinking about maybe it's time for one to go because I don't have any room.
Yeah. Well, the Chevelle is going to be out of here for a little bit. So if you need to sit something here, park it. Don't get rid of it. I regret any car. You don't want to get rid of it. So, well, hey guys, thanks a lot again. I sure appreciate it. Always great to talk with you guys, and we'll see you next time.